I really hope that clap made the air, but I don't know if it did. It might have been a little early there, Zach, but we tried.
It said live on my screen. I don't know what's up with you.
We are back. Burnt Rubber Racing is back after a week off. Someone was in Florida. Someone else was tied up with a lot of things. But hey, I'm Henry John. That's Zach McAdoo. We're back. We've got a whole lot of racing to talk about here tonight. Busy weekend last week for NASCAR as they returned to Nashville. IndyCar's been running, the SRX. Zach's, I know, chomping at the bit to talk about that. How are you doing tonight? How was your trip to Florida? You're a little sunburned. Not too bad, though. I was kind of expecting worse.
Oh, it got worse. Thank God for the shirt here because this was all beet red front and back thanks to not putting enough sunscreen on the last day. But yeah, we're doing fine now. We're getting better from the really bad sunburn, but we're going forward. Can't wait to talk the All-Star race, the Ally 400, the 2 SRX races, and the 3 IndyCar races from the little bit of IndyCar of what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely. Loaded show on tap. We just kind of broke it all down. This is episode 18, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that off the top. So we're going to get rowdy because it is the Kyle Busch episode officially. Hey, I'm just happy to be back. The All-Star race was 2 weeks ago, but because we didn't go last week, anything you wanted to just throw out there about that? I think for me, 2 takeaways, really. Eric Almirola, maybe a little start of momentum as we'll get into it. Nashville. Ross Chastain looked good. I guess there were 3 takeaways. And then Kyle Larson does Kyle Larson things, wins $1 million. You got anything else you wanted to add or notice?
I think that this is probably the best format they've had in a while in terms of the All-Star race. I liked how they try to invert the field to get different drivers up there. I like how they meshed it together for average finish going into segment 5. I think it all went well, and maybe it's something they can learn from going forward.
Yeah, I think I hear you on that for sure. I thought it was an entertaining race, and we saw it, right? Kyle Larson gets mired back in traffic there in stage 2 when they invert the order, like a dozen cars, I think it was, and he couldn't get up to the front. So just the way it changed things, the average finish made it interesting, the whole colored wheels thing. I liked it. I don't know. We'll see.
Close. We are that close, I think, from seeing a Larson streak ending at the All-Star race. I think Kozlowski was so close to clearing him. I think he did have him clear. He just didn't hear clear, and didn't move up. And what a move, but it unfortunately didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if he could have maybe gone for it or not, but I think it was the right call not to. There with the spotter not telling him to go up. It would have been very close.
You got to risk it, man. It's $1 million.
I don't know. You also want to have that car next week and not totally tear it up, right? So it is what it is. Kyle Larson wins $1 million, and Kyle Larson wins again at Nashville as we jump to this past weekend, the Ally 400. A successful return, I would say, for NASCAR to the Music City. The entire weekend at Nashville Superspeedway was enjoyable to watch as a fan, I thought. Very unique track there for sure. Of course, we weren't able to get together and break it down and preview it like we normally would have last week. But your overall takeaways, initial reactions as we jump into the Ally 400 here.
So I'm going to start with the fan takeaway, the off-track stuff, because that's what got to me first, because I wasn't able to really watch the race. Like I said, I was too busy getting sunburned. But the stuff I saw on Twitter, they moved the race back because fans aren't getting to the track. That's a problem that needs to be fixed within the next year that I'm sure NASCAR is going to get onto. And then the second thing, and this is arguably the bigger problem, it is something that either needs to be fixed with NASCAR, with their cooler policy, or the track needs to do. They ran out of water and hot dogs at lap 45. It was 95 degrees in the stands. Yeah, that from what Twitter said, they were out by lap 45 of a 300 lap race.
Yikes!
And I'm pretty sure. Well, I know for a fact you can't take coolers in. From what at certain tracks you are not allowed to take coolers in. So that can't happen. And I think that Nashville and NASCAR as a whole, or Dover Motorsports, someone they owe a lot to those fans who showed up, and maybe I don't know, but something needs to be fixed from the off track point. But back to on track, the point of things, I thought it was good racing. It surprised me how well it was, in all honesty. But yeah, I think we'll get into it more here and later.
Yeah, we sure will. Just to echo your off track concerns. I mean, obviously, I haven't been following all the narratives. Just taken by my surprise there as you were laying some of that stuff out. But for the cost of tickets to go to that race, even compared to some other ones here on the schedule, now I get it. It's their return to Nashville. It's a big deal. I don't think you can have that happen. Now, this was the first time in over a decade that Nashville Super Speedway's even hosted a race. They had the temporary grandstands in there and whatnot. The place was packed, so that was great to see as someone watching it on TV. But maybe the lack of hot dogs and beverages is why there were some empty pockets in the stands at the end of the race that weren't there before. Because that's a bit of a problem when it's that hot.
Now, for our listeners, he did talk about the price tickets. It was $140 a piece. That's a lot if you're talking
I looked at trying to go to this thing and nope.
Yeah, I saw because I have my uncle lives in Nashville. Yeah, he's gonna listen to this. Hopefully, he says something to me because that's what the point of this is. But he goes, "Yeah, let's go to the Nashville race." I looked at tickets like that's not happening. No, I'm not paying that. But 140, and I understand because there's only 40,000 seats at that track, but still, that can't happen.
The blueprint is there. I think everything is there for it to be a great venue. They just got to do upgrades, and you also cannot be running out of concessions. At any rate, we're not here to analyze hot dogs.
There's still three more years on the schedule, so hopefully they'll have it fixed by then.
Yeah, hopefully for sure. In terms of racing, though, I think both of us would agree that we're excited to see them have 3 more years at the track. Kyle Larson gets the win, like I mentioned off the top, but a whole lot happened between the green flag and him taking the checkered flag 300 laps later, including in the very first turn of the very first lap. Quinn Houff, a wheel pops off the car, and he is into the wall just like that. He doesn't complete a single lap, and the 00 is out of the race. And I had the honor of this week writing up the NASCAR Power Rankings. Josh Bilicki has jumped Quinn Houff for the 31st spot among the 32 full-time drivers. I was waiting. We were building to make this switch, and he passed him in points. Bilicki finished 26. Not bad. But, yeah.
Not bad for a Rickwood racing car, too.
Yep. So thank you to Quinn Houff for, I guess, blowing it on the first lap. But, I mean, that's inexcusable, right?
This is something that's not on Houff at all. And we both have, I don't know if we've said a lot about Houff, but we've said how bad that team is. Someone's getting fired over this for sure. And, how does a wheel fall off on lap 1 after you've had qualifying hours beforehand? It's
almost worse. It's almost worse. I don't know if it is worse. Maybe it is worse because of the qualifying, but Kyle Larson at Talladega, somebody forgot to remove the metal out of there, and his day was done. They didn't have qualifying there, though, so they were rolling that one right out. I don't know. Yeah, which mistake is worse? Because they're both fireable offenses, in my opinion. But
how? I think you can make the mistake of not taking something out of a car, especially when you're just taking it out of the truck and it's going right on the track.
No practice, no qualifying.
No practice, no qualifying. It's going right off the truck onto the grid. Houff, you've had practice, you've had qualifying, you've had time to make sure that tire is secure. You can see a tire not out. You can see the lug nuts not on it. With another thing, how does it stay on for? Did the car vibrate through the pace laps? How did this happen?
I don't know, man. I couldn't believe it. I thought he had just cut something down or had a mechanical failure or something, and
nope, there was a
tire off the car. So okay, whatever. Starcom Racing, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, enough on Quinn Houff. Tyler Reddick, he had a little dozy-do coming off of pit road early in this race. Fortunate not to tear up that car any worse than he did. Really not a whole heck of a lot of damage. Reddick was fast, though, overall. Wound up 18th. I think considering what might have been with that disaster and some more adversity they had to overcome later on, they'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what happened with Reddick at first. I saw the NBC replay of it, and it kind of like, oh god, that's not good for me, and I'm sure he's gonna bring it up. But yeah, let's move on.
All right then. This race was different from the majority I think we've seen this season, in just that there were so many cautions for incident, right? Like, not a whole lot of steady green flag running. I think it was before the final stage that the longest green flag run was 45, 48 laps or something like that. So a lot of yellows, a lot of different issues. One of them that really stood out had to do with brakes. Now, of course, the unique configuration here of this track, you're on concrete. Team Penske in particular, it seemed like underestimated the brakes that they should have had in those cars. Ryan Blaney, he had issues hitting something coming off pit road just to go out and run the pace laps. So it wasn't his first problem, but his brakes were the first to go, and the 12 went into the wall. Tough day for Penske.
Yeah, it looked like a hard hit for Blaney, too. That was something that you could tell in Blaney's voice. He got shaken up a little bit. Glad to see he was okay walking out and able to talk with NBC afterwards, and you could tell in his voice he was hurt a little bit.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, it seemed like, Blaney wasn't the only one, right, who had brake dust kind of in the tires when they were taking them off on pit stops. And he was far from the only driver who had issues in this race. Chris Buescher had a tire go down and pancake the wall. We were talking for a while. Buescher really running well, and kind of, he got the new contract extension with Roush Fenway Racing, kind of carrying the flag for him this year. It's been very up and down for Ryan Newman this weekend. It was Newman finishing 13th, and Buescher's out of the race in a hurry. So I think they're going to bounce back from this. I don't know. This is a couple weeks of disappointment for that 17 team, and the All-Star Open definitely didn't go according to plan either.
No, and what I thought of Sunday is when the schedule usually goes from Fox to NBC, there's always that one driver who looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. They just slowly make their way down and out. If you remember, Casey Kane 2015, he was one. 2016, I forget who it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's always that one driver, like, he looks like he's going well, and then just shifts when NBC takes over, and it might be Chris Buescher.
I wish NBC never took over. I like the Fox team so much better. It's not even funny. I could go on a 10-minute rant about that. Without Larry Mack, it's just not the same. But anyway, one team that appeared to be having some success in this race early on that we've talked about is not having a whole lot of success at all this year is Stewart-Haas Racing. There was a time in the Ally 400 when all four SHR cars were in the top 10 together at the same time. I don't know if that's happened all year before Nashville. It did happen. And then, lo and behold, only two of them finished better than 30th. Now, Kevin Harvick and Eric Almirola finished the race great. We'll talk about them a little more later as we wrap things up. But Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe, more issues. I feel like maybe the jinx is organization-wide at this point.
No, and something needs to happen soon. And Larry, you just talked about Larry Mack, and I guess that's a good gateway for this. His bold prediction is Harvick doesn't win a race this year. It's looking like it. You look forward. If it doesn't happen this week, going forward, I do not see it. Okay, I lied. Atlanta. If it does not happen in Atlanta, I don't see Harvick winning the rest of the year. And me, that's devastating. How do you go from 9 wins to 0 in a span of 1 year? Something needs to change at SHR, and it does not mean moving Childers out of the 4.
Personal question for you. Who is more likely to win a race at some point this season? Kevin Harvick or Tyler Reddick?
I knew you were going to ask me this. Oh, God. That's a tough one.
That sunburn just got a little redder. He's
here.
thinking. He's tough.
Come back to me after this week. How about that?
Are you serious? You're not going to give us a lean? You want to say Reddick. I know you want to do it.
I do. I honestly do. But if Harvick doesn't win this week, I will say Reddick.
Okay. I'll say it right now. Tyler Reddick. Moving on. I'm kind of with Larry Mack, honestly. Like I don't know that Kevin Harvick's winning the race, just the way that whole organization is running. At any rate,
it's not Harvick's fault. He's getting shit equipment now because Haas wants to put more money in F1. And there you go. There's your little blurb to start the show. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna try and cover up Kevin Harvick. I mean, it is not his fault. He ran very well this weekend. You know, they've supposedly had like this whole team meeting before that race too, and they've been saying how they're further behind at the 550 tracks than they are the 750 horsepower tracks. So making up a little ground at Nashville is a good thing. I don't know though. It's all just seems so discombobulated for that whole camp at this point. You know, I didn't even mention the Chase Elliott won stage one. So yeah, Chase Elliott did do an alternate pit strategy. He did not pit on the late stage one caution, and he stayed out and did pick up a stage win. Now, at the end of stage two, we had another late caution, and pretty much everyone who was on the lead lap, I think, pitted with this one. However, there were some cars who took only 2 tires to try and move their way to the front, among them Tyler Reddick, his Richard Childress Racing teammate Austin Dillon, Eric Jones was up there. There was a 4th car, I'm pretty sure, too. I can't remember exactly who it was. Austin Dillon was the only one who hung on. He took 3rd in stage 2. And, you know, it was just eye-popping to me, though, the fact that Reddick and Jones just disappeared, and Dillon was able to hang on up front. I don't know. What did you see there at the end of stage 2?
I didn't see it. I was just watching the highlights, and it wasn't included in the highlights for the little video I saw, but it makes sense. If Dillon was in front, he would get away, and so that's usually what happens is you'll have the one car who's starting first just able to maintain, and the rest of them just fall off a cliff, it feels like, and that's what happened, I'm guessing.
I think Reddick got moved up the track, too, at one point, so he was lucky to save it there as well. Then we go to the final stage, and, you know, it's pretty much the Kyle Larson coronation at this point. He has the most stage wins, the most laps led, now the most wins of any driver on the season. I mean, this 5 team is dominating. He led some 260-plus laps, I'm pretty sure, this past weekend. So, you know, outside of Kyle Larson, though, there were some things to note in the final stage. We did have a long green flag run, which turned the end of this race into a fuel-saving strategy. A couple cars on alternate pit stops there. One of them was the 42 of Ross Chastain. We've been hyping up Ross Chastain here on this show. I
wanted to hype him up. You wanted to throw him under the bus after the last episode.
I don't remember that. That was 2 weeks ago. I ain't throwing him under the bus. I'm still hyping him up.
You were throwing him under the bus for the joy wreck.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that. But I gave him props, though, for driving across Gilligan's Island and actually, like, picking up a spot during that. So I never threw Ross Chastain under the bus. Another strong finish for the 42. And really, at the end, he was the only car with a real chance of catching Larson, even if it was a minute chance.
Yeah, his only chance is that Larson had to run on a field being 6 seconds back. I mean, no one thought that he actually had a chance, but I was still pulling for him. I wanted to see Ross Chastain get his first win in the Cup Series, but I was still happy to see Larson get the win.
Yeah, a couple cars who did run out of fuel. Denny Hamlin had to pit, and that was his finish. Kevin Harvick toward the end. But speaking of Ross Chastain, really another solid run for Chip Ganassi here after their debacle at Charlotte with both cars having the same equipment failure. Kurt Busch top 10. Chastain, runner-up. Seems like they're turning it around here. And, we're talking about Chris Buescher as a guy who might be falling out of the playoffs. Those are two drivers I'm looking at. They're rising in those standings. I don't know. What do you think? Is it a Chip Ganassi driver who replaces Buescher if he falls out, as you kind of alluded to, I guess?
Predicting, yeah.
Did you predict it? There you go. I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Maybe it's not predicted isn't the right word. It's foreshadowed, but that would be better. But yeah, I feel like the 1 and the 42 both have underperformed so far this year, and now they seem to be turning a corner. We thought that they were turning a corner before the 600, but now I think they're actually turning the corner, and it's not just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you there too. Strong run. Chastain was great at the All-Star race as well, getting in the first driver in from the open, and then he ran well for the most part in the actual race itself too. So just to round out some finishes and have a little more wrap-up discussion here on the Ally 400, Larson, Chastain, followed by William Byron there in third. There he is, the most consistent driver in the series. As we have discussed repeatedly on this show, Eric Almirola takes fourth. Best finish by far for that 10 team on the season. Talk about underperformers. That is a welcome sight for them. Kevin Harvick rounds out the top 5. You got Stuart Haas, a pair of top 5 finishes there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., that's a guy we should probably talk about. He was super fast, especially early in this race, had a great long-run car. I don't know if I've ever seen a JTG car flying like that, passing powerhouse teams on long runs. Impressive stuff overall out of the 47. If not for a slow pit stop late in the race, they might have been runner-up, to be honest with you. Then we got Daniel Suarez in 7th. That's another guy we can talk about. Kurt Busch, as we mentioned, in 8th. Christopher Bell overcoming adversity. Had a tire get away into the infield. He finishes 9th. Joey Logano rounds out the top 10. He was the only Penske driver doing much of anything this past weekend. Talk about one, talk about a couple. Who there catches your eyes? Is someone else further down? What do you got?
I'm going to go with Stenhouse. I mean, he was there in the top 10 throughout the whole race, I want to say. From when I first started watching to going to apparently to the end, it was just amazing to see JT Doherty. I can't talk. Holy crap. JTG Doherty. There we go. Get in the top 10, stay in the top 10, and get points for when they need it.
Yeah, 100%, especially with Ryan Preece, wrecking out of this race. A far cry. I don't know that you can get a much further discrepancy between teammates. Preece was never a factor in this thing at all, but a great run for Stenhouse and that team overall, getting some stage points throughout the day as well. Kyle Busch finished 11th, and he was not happy with his car at all. He fell back there a little ways toward the end of this race, and he was running top 5 for much of the first half. But whatever issue they had, he was able to – I guess they were able to get it rectified toward the end of this thing and finish 11th. But for a guy who was complaining that much about his car, just to watch Kyle Busch run in the top 5, it's hilarious to me, right? When he's screaming on the radio and he's running in third. Speaking of Joe Gibbs, you can talk about Busch too, but I have to ask you, what the heck? Where is Martin Truex Jr.?
He's pulling Alex Bowman, I feel like, right now. He reversed Alex Bowman because Bowman got his second win after having all the bad finishes. But he had three wins and hasn't done anything since Darlington, which arguably that should have been another one of Larson's wins. But Truex is able to hold him off. But he's Mr. I don't want to say Mr. Irrelevant, but he's Mr. Nowhere to be found right now.
Nowhere to be found is an understatement. Couple of pit road penalties for that team. They started in the back. They never even ran, I don't think, a lap in the top 10. Disappointing stuff yet again for the 19 team. And there's one other guy I have to throw at you. Corey LaJoie was putting together a streak of top 20s. Now, did he start a new streak of top 15s? Finishes 15th. that Spire Motorsports team, talk about overachieving. We're talking underachievers here. I don't know. Is this going to be another streak? Is like LaJoie going to bump this up like by 5 positions until he like is actually gets a top 5? Like, I mean, you got to be impressed, right?
Yeah, out of the 17, that definitely no one expected it to do much. I mean, the top 15 for them is amazing, and hopefully they do. I do like Spire, and I do like Corey LaJoie. Hopefully this starts something for them, and they end up do get extending that top 15 streak. Maybe get a top 10 sooner than later.
I would love to see it. That is for sure. He did get one top 10 in the Daytona 500. Of course, half the field was out of that race early, but it's possible. But seeing him would put these this nice run of finishes together is definitely cool on these other non-super speedway tracks. It is the Kyle Busch episode, so we might as well mention.
Wait. Before we move on off from the Cup Series,
okay.
Larson has six top 2s in a row now.
Yes.
I don't know if we've mentioned that.
Not counting the All-Star.
Are we?
I mean, we can, and that'd be 7.
I have no idea. I saw the stat. I just went with it. I didn't know if it included the All-Star race. But he hasn't lost a race since Coda. And arguably, you could say NASCAR screwed him out of that. So Larson's been driving with a vengeance ever since Coda, or he's just been on a freaking roll.
Yeah. Darlington, Dover, Coda, all seconds. The Coke 600, Sonoma, All-Star race, Nashville. So if you count the All-Star race, that's 7. That's an insane run. Talk about domination. Last year we had 2 guys kind of swapping back and forth with domination in Harvick and Hamlin. This year the 5 is just he's cut above the rest right now. But can I move on now?
Yeah. Before I make a bad joke.
Okay. So it is the Kyle Busch episode, and we might as well mention, as I was saying earlier, Kyle Busch did win the Xfinity Series race at Nashville. Justin Allgaier, Harrison Burton, Josh Berry, and AJ Allmendinger round out the top 5. Any thoughts on this race? Any other notable finishes that you had, takeaways, etc.? Because Kyle Busch wasn't the only Cup driver going down to a lower NASCAR series and bagging a win this past weekend.
No, I'm trying to think of, did I see any of this race at all? And I don't think so.
I'll admit I didn't. I didn't see any of either one of these.
Yeah, what good NASCAR fans we are. But yeah, I have a legitimate excuse, so.
Not only do we miss a week with our show, but we don't even watch all of the races to be prepared for our return show. So there you go. Burt Rubber Racing, ladies and gentlemen. The Truck Series, speaking of Cup Series drivers dropping down and getting a win, Ryan Preece, he took the win on Friday night. Todd Gilliland, Grant Enfinger, my guy Zane Smith, and Stuart Friesen rounding out the top 5. Did you see any of this one? Did you have any other thoughts? It looks like Ross Chastain finished a ways back. So
no, I wasn't able to watch.
Thoughts, but not Chastain.
I wasn't able to watch any of this race thanks to Disney not having FS1 on their channel lineup. So thank you, Walt Disney World.
There you go. Plug-in. I don't know if we're plugging Walt Disney or shaming him, but we got.
We're shaming him for not having the channel.
Well, you also give him a little free advertising.
When you wish upon a star.
But hey, I'm not even going to acknowledge that. All 3 National Series in action again this weekend at Pocono. We'll dive into that more later on in the show. What did we have next? We have got SRX and IndyCar breakdown. So we've had both of these series have run each of the last 2 weeks. And, of course, we missed last week here on the show. IndyCar's actually had 3 races because they had a double header in the first weekend. So I guess Zach is going to get us all up to speed on SRX, and then I'm going to try and do the same for IndyCar. So the floor is yours.
So SRX had their inaugural race on, what was 2 Saturdays ago? The 12th. At Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. The short track hosted the 100 lap main event where local legend Doug Coby surprised the field and took the win by leading 80 laps. I mean, that's just incredible if you ask me. It was a great race, a great start for the SRX series, and something that I think they took the momentum and ran with it because they had another good race in Knoxville Raceway, where Tony Stewart just he wasn't going to try to he wasn't messing around on dirt. He was just going to go and take the win, even though he was a little worried about Michael Waltrip saying he would need therapy if Michael Waltrip beat him. But Ernie Francis Jr. is my surprise so far. He's raced excellent. He is a guy I've never heard of until 2 weeks ago with the first race, and then Haley Deegan finished third behind Francis and Stewart. This week they have Eldora, Tony Stewart's playground. So who's gonna win? I wonder who. But I think we all know who I'm picking. But I mean, it's just been an incredible series so far, and I can't wait for this week and going forward.
There you have it. That's your SRX recap. So Eldora this weekend. Be sure to check that out. That track's always fun to watch. The NASCAR trucks, of course, ran some races there in the past. Now we jump into IndyCar. This is where I try and catch y'all up. We've had 3 races since our last show, as I mentioned before. Doubleheader weekend 2 weeks ago in Detroit. Marcus Ericsson and Patricio O'Ward taking the winners in race 1 and race 2, respectively. Now, Zach picked Graham Rahal to win both. He did finish 5th in both races. So, in a way, Zach was right. He finished in the same position both times. He just didn't finish in the first position. But I had to throw that out there because I thought that was pretty cool. So a pair of top 5s there for Rahal. Good bounce back for him after what could have been in the Indy 500. Now, Alex Palou, he finished 3rd in the second race in Detroit, and then he would go on to win this past weekend's inserted race at Road America. Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward are now the only 2 drivers in the series with 2 wins this season. It comes as really no surprise given how they've been consistent as well. They are 1-2 in the IndyCar Series point standings. Scott Dixon rounds out the top 3 there. He has a series high 8 top 10 finishes and 1 win on the season. Another guy who stood out from these past couple of weekends, Colton Herta took 2nd this past weekend at Road America. He was also a top 5 finish in the second Detroit race. And the next IndyCar Series race is on the 4th of July at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Park. Is that the right name? I think so. So, yeah, there's your IndyCar update. Any other thoughts you want to add?
No, but that was a quick ad because I see you laughing. You knew.
So I forgot about that one. The inserted race threw me off. So now the way I have it written down is just wrong. We're not. Yeah. They didn't need to know that. Let's go to motorsports news and notes. What is this first one you have here? Bristol Trucks, GMS Racing's going to the Cup Series, by the way. We didn't get to talk about that last week.
Oh, damn it. That's what I forgot. Yeah. So
maybe we'll add that in here on the fly.
Yeah, so before we get into what he just talked about, GMS, they're going to Cup Racing next year. Justin Haley and Colleague Racing, they're going to Cup Racing next year, and AJ Allmendinger will run Cup on a limited schedule for Colleague next year. Yeah, what are your thoughts before we move on to what we actually had written down?
I'm super excited. I love that we're getting some more teams. There have been also, these rumors that 2311 might add a second ride, that Trackhouse Racing might add a second ride. Now we've got GMS and Colleague joining the big show as well. I think Justin Haley is a deserving driver of that full-time Colleague ride. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're adding a second one not too long after that as well, when you have a guy like the Dinger there. But it'll be good to see him out there on the road courses. And he's going to be running full-time Xfinity next year too. So good stuff there all around. Do we know a GMS driver yet, or they haven't been named? But...
No, all I did was just give a little teaser of what's to come in Cup. But right. Back to the original story that we brought up. Doug Coby, the guy who just won at Stafford Speedway not less than 2 weeks ago, he will be running GMS trucks at Bristol. I mean, this guy wins, and all of a sudden he's got a ride at trucks. That's amazing. I mean, granted, he beat Greg Biffle, he beat Tony Stewart, he beat Ernie Francis Jr., he beat Tony Kanaan, he beat Helio Castroneves, he beat Bill Elliott, he beat who is I going to say?
I mean, you don't have to say anyone else. That's an impressive list right there.
He beat a guy who probably should be in the series. Some people are going to know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say on air. Yeah, I went there. Doug Coby, I'm a Doug Coby fan. I hope he does well at Bristol.
So there you go. Doug Coby going to be running for GMS in the Bristol truck race. You win an SRX race and you get a ride in NASCAR. Not a bad deal at all. This story I'm curious to get your thoughts on, as we have a little cross-sport intersection going on here, if
Another
you will.
One.
Yeah, we've seen Alvin Kamara be involved in NASCAR before. His juice bar was the main sponsor of an Xfinity Series car earlier this year. Well, now he actually has a job with NASCAR. What do you think of that? Alvin Kamara is going to be advising NASCAR on growing its fan base. The official title of the role, he is the growth and engagement advisor. They announced that this past weekend at Nashville. He was at the race. And my favorite part of the whole interview is he said when they offer him earplugs, when the engines fire and the race begins, he always turns them down. That is a real racing fan right there. But yeah, this is cool stuff. We got an NFL running back working for NASCAR now. So I don't know. How's this going to go down? How involved do you think he's going to be?
I mean, he's going to be pretty involved now, but he's going to have a job to do come August, September. So he's not going to be as focused on this job as he would be towards February. Well, maybe actually, yeah, he would be in February because Super Bowl will be over by then. But for now, I think he will help try to grow the sport and try to get more fans in there. Cause he's got a following on Instagram. He's got a lot of people who wear his jerseys that are going to be like, oh, yeah, Alvin Kamara is doing it? Yeah, I think I'll watch it. Now. So I think it'll help the sport, and hopefully it will grow the sport going forward.
Couldn't agree more. And I think it does actually line up well. You're talking about football schedule. Well, football comes around. Training camps, I know, get started a little earlier than that. But, you're heading into the playoffs. The real time to push the sport on the fan base and kind of I think go after those things is during the spring and the summer, and I think his schedule lines up pretty well to be involved during those crucial months. So Kamara's been a NASCAR fan for a long time, and I think this is good to have a recognizable face and one who has a following that maybe they aren't necessarily fans of the sport. Most of them, they'll get introduced to it, and maybe some new fans will come out of it. Honestly, surely some new fans will come out of it. So cool stuff there. And speaking of new gigs, Jeff Gordon, who just wrapped up, sadly, his season in the Fox broadcast booth because NBC has to get the back half of the schedule. And it's not the same without Larry Mack, but we're not going to go there. Well, Jeff Gordon's no longer going to be in that Fox Sports broadcast booth as he is headed back to Hendrick Motorsports next season. What more do you have on this, Mr. McAdoo?
He will be the vice chairman at Hendrick Motorsports as he will take over the number 2 spot for HMS. So I believe they made him leave Fox Sports because that'd be conflict of interest, even though his name was already on the building beforehand. But yeah, it's sad to see him go. I did like Jeff Gordon in the booth. Granted, I was a Gordon fan, so that's probably why I liked him in the booth. But I'm excited to see what comes forward with this. Hopefully he leads them well, or is a number 2 well, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the way Hendrick Motorsports is performing this season, why wouldn't he want to go back and work for Rick? If you could pick one person to take over Gordon's role in the booth next year, who do you want in there with Clint Boyer and Mike Joy?
I don't know.
No name off the top of your head. I know I just threw that question on you real quick, but I was just curious.
Honestly, Jeff Gordon and Boyer had such good chemistry, especially after what happened 9 years ago at Phoenix. It's going to be tough to beat. So I I would love to see Harvick in the booth, but it's not going to happen because hopefully it doesn't happen. I want to see Harvick out there finishing out his contract all the way to 2023. So it might be a little bit before they get a third guy, hopefully. But for now, we're just going to see a two-man team, hopefully.
Yeah, time will tell. I'd be down for some Harvick and Boyer in there, although that might be a whole lot of SHR flavor, since it's where they both were here down the stretch of their careers. At any rate, a couple of massive NASCAR motorsports headlines there. And we got Kamara and Gordon finding new gigs. So interesting stuff from this past week. Shall we head to the Pocono Mountains?
Yeah.
Ready to do this? All right. The Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway. Yes, it is shaped like a triangle. And yes, there are not three. All three series are in action, but there are 4 races on tap this weekend for the second straight year and the second time ever. The NASCAR Cup Series will run a doubleheader at Pocono this weekend. Now, it's kind of funny, right? With all the rescheduling that happened last year, we had kind of a string of doubleheader weeks, or they'd be running on Wednesday night in some cases and whatnot. Pocono was supposed to be the original doubleheader. This year, it is the doubleheader. It has that claim to fame all to itself. Talk to us about Pocono Raceway. There's a lot of unique kind of history and stuff going on here with this track as far as how it is designed. So the floor is yours, sir.
So, in 1971, this track opened, and the same year NASCAR would visit the Pocono Mountains for the first time. The Tricky Triangle gets its shape from Turn 1 being shaped after Trenton Motor Speedway, Turn 2 being designed after Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Turn 3 after the Milwaukee Mile. 2 of those 3 do no longer host races, and the only one we know, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, still hosts the Indy 500 every year. I am sad because I do like Milwaukee Miles. It was such a fun track to race at on the old NASCAR games, but that's beside the point. The 2.5 mile only has 3 turns. I don't know why that is. It just is. And they have the what turn for in turn 3. So, and people have argued that this track should be technically have 6 turns because you're turning left twice. But no, just leave it to 3. It's what we've always known. Just forget you.
Get that argument right out of here. I don't want to hear that. Then you're ruining the whole triangle complex, and it does not look like a hexagon. So no.
Yeah, but. And it is a right triangle. For you nerds out there who wanted to know, turn 2 it does have that little 90 degree angle there, just like Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That I did not know. So there you go. You can use the Pythagorean theorem on Pocono Raceway. I might have to do that one of these days, because I am a nerd. A little more on the Tricky Triangle. It is a 2.5 mile track in length. Now, in terms of who tends to do well here, what the keys are to victory: car setup and speed going into a race, and track position is also very important once the race gets started. It is typically difficult for cars to have a competent handle on all 3 corners. So you might have 1 or 2 corners down well, but like Zach said, with all these corners designed to or modeled after 3 different tracks, it is tough to have a good handle on all 3 at the same time. I missed the Milwaukee Mile too. And let's see, what else did I have here in these notes? Looks like that was it. All right then. Driver's stats. We can jump there, I guess. Now, Zach earlier in the show was saying if there's a weekend Kevin Harvick's going to get a win, it's going to be this weekend. So he punted my question about his 2 favorite drivers to next week, which I am still kind of annoyed by. At any rate, Kevin Harvick does have the best average finish over the last 10 races at Pocono. He did win the Saturday race here last year, and he finished second in the second race. And I guess I should throw that out there too. So originally the Cup Series ran a distance of 500 miles here at Pocono, and that distance shrunk to 400 miles. And they were running two weekends, one in the spring, one in the fall. Now those weekends are combined into one. 325 miles in the first race and 350 miles in the second race. So you've got 675 miles total of racing this weekend. I think it's the Pocono Organics 325 and the Explore the Pocono Mountains 350 are the official race names. So there you go.
Did you read my article?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's my article.
I edited it. I don't know if I read it. Like I was saying, Kevin Harvick has the best average finish among all drivers over the last 10, 5.6. Behind him would be Brad Keselowski, 8.8, and Denny Hamlin, 9.2. Now, William Byron has only run 6 Cup races here. He does have a top 10 average finish of 9.7. Kyle Busch, 10.7. He would round out that list of top 5. So, I think based on how this season has been going, of those names there, the one I would be looking at coming into the weekend is William Byron. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with the hot hand. And as much as you want me to say Harvick, I can't. Based on this year, you can't say Harvick. Because he might have the top 10s, he might have the top 5s, but the price is going to be too high, especially with him returning here where he had an average finish of 1.5 last year. First and second. But yep. It's just, I can't. I'm going to put him in my lineup because I'm stupid enough to do it and think that, yeah, this is the week where if he's going to get a win, it's going to be here. So it's either here or Atlanta.
To your point, over those last 10 races, to average that finish of 5.6, Harvick has a win, 3 runner-ups, 3 fourth places. So that is 7 top 5 finishes. And the real outlier is a 22nd place finish in the first race of 2019. Otherwise, the average finish is probably a heck of a lot better. Denny Hamlin has won 2 of the last 3 races here. I should say that. He took the second race last year and the fall 2019 running. Kyle Busch has 3 wins in the last 7 Pocono races. Eric Jones is interesting to see behind him there. He's run 8 times at the track in the Cup Series, and he has 5 top 5 finishes, 6 top 10s. 38th and 3rd last year. Now, of course, he is in different equipment this year, but interesting to note him up at the top there. Any other names that you would be curious on for driver stats and history? I do have some driver ratings pulled up as well that we can dive into. But in terms of average finish, anyone else?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So for driver rating, average rating, this would be over the last 6 Pocono races. Kevin Harvick, shockingly, is number 1, followed by Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones are the top 5 in terms of average rating. Lurking there at number 6, though, I don't know if you want to hear this or not because we've seen a lot of him here in recent weeks. Kyle Larson. He didn't run last year here, but 4 races, he's 6th. Average driver rating. I don't know.
Yeah, that surprised me. I thought he did worse here at the track than 6th. I mean, he doesn't seem like a driver who would run well here.
His average finish over those 4 races, so this would be 2018 and 19, is just 14. But, yeah, he's up there in terms of rating, which kind of gives you a better picture of a driver's overall race just by taking multiple stats into account. So, interesting to note that there for sure. I say we jump into some DFS pricing and discussion. And this is your forte, not mine. I just try and kind of help you along. So, I don't know. Who are we looking at this week as the stars of the show for Pocono and DFS?
So, Larson. I'm gonna just say it out, Larson. Until he cools off, put him in your lineup every week, and I'm gonna be saying that every week until something happens where something goes wrong. Let's see who's a value play you can do here. Let me look. Stupid enough.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say Kyle Larson is $14,500 in terms of salary, and that is
Yeah,
$1,000 more than Denny Hamlin, who we just talked about Denny Hamlin's credentials here at Pocono. Kyle Larson doesn't have those credentials, but like Zach said, the way he's running, it's hard to go against him right now, and he deserves that price.
Maybe look at an Eric Almirola. Yeah, he starts 11th. The momentum is there, though. If you look at the last 2 weeks, he's only $6,500, and I'm sure Harvick and Almirola are going to be sharing setup. Not problems. What's the word I'm looking for? Set up notes. That's what I'm looking for. Holy.
Hey,
so yeah, put the 10 car in your lineup. I feel like Eric's is due for a good run. I mean, I believe this is one of the tracks he had a top 10. He either started his top 10 streak at or continued his top 10 streak at last summer. So
yeah, that top 10 streak feels like a long time ago rather, for Eric Almirola. But Zach is exactly right. In fact, he was top 5 in both races of the doubleheader last year, 3rd and 5th. Add in a 7th in the first race in 2018 and a 10th in the first race of 2019. And he was also 12th in the second 2019 race. So Almirola has been in the top 12 in 5 of the last 6 races here. So I like that as a value call. What was his pricing? Did you have that?
$6,500.
I like that a lot. I can get behind that for sure. In terms of who we're looking to avoid, I found it curious you didn't say Kevin Harvick. He's priced at $12,000. Is it just because we should know to have him in our lineups, or I don't know? Who are we avoiding up there among those high price guys?
I'm gonna go surprising one because of how well he did. He's been here in the past. Martin Truex Jr. We said it earlier, Mister. Where did he go?
Where is he?
He's. I can't see him. Like he's not. He hasn't done well the past couple weeks here. He hasn't performed. In my knowledge, since what, Darlington, early Coda because he ran well on wet tires.
Right. Well, Sonoma, he was there, but he felt just like a ways behind Larson.
That's
still,
true. Yeah. So yeah, he was there at Sonoma, but
that's where you expect him to be.
This isn't a road course.
No.
They might kind of run it like a short course, road course with the short gearing or whatever you want to call it. This ain't it though. Don't put it in Truex. Until something happens. The streak's not there.
Yeah, something's off with that team right now, and I know he does have 3 top 10 finishes in a row here. He won back the first race of 2018, but you're exactly right. Like they have just fallen off the map. So for the same price, actually he's $500 more than Kevin Harvick by the looks on FanDuel. So I would be, I think, steering clear of that pretty comfortably. One guy I do want to ask you about is Chase Elliott. So Chase Elliott was disqualified for the Ally 400 because of a bunch of loose lug nuts, which they said they kind of knew were loose, and they just never bothered to come in and actually fix them before the race ended. So Quinn Houff, I was all excited about doing this when we finished the recap, and I totally forgot. Quinn Houff went into the wall in turn 1 on lap 1, never returned to the track, and did not technically finish last because Chase Elliott was disqualified. So there you go. But anyway, that affects his starting spot for this week, right? Because we're not qualifying at Pocono. It's the formula again. Chase Elliott is starting way in the back. I can find that exact spot if you give me a second. But at 11,000, positions gained. I kind of like that.
Yeah, but they also no. FanDuel also screwed you because they changed their points format in the middle of the season and they didn't tell anyone, or if they did, they hit it. So they halved it now. It's the 0.5 per position gained or lost. I mean, I would still do it. I mean, he's starting 39th, somewhere in the 30s.
I'll get it up here in a second, but go ahead.
And his average finish is 14.3. So, I mean, it's not a bad play. So, because you're still looking at you're still looking at 25 positions gained, that's still going to net you 12 points at the end, plus whatever laps he finishes, plus whatever if he does lead a lap, it's whatever laps plus his eventual finishing position. So it wouldn't be so bad, but starting 39th, be cautious because something could happen.
Starting 29th, actually. So.
Oh, okay. He's still starting in the back, but
right, yeah. FanDuel really, like, you're exactly right. I don't know. That's like Monkey Knife Fight when we used to do some of those contests early in the year, and they change the contest or change, like, it's one thing to change the line, right? But when you change the entire contest, that's essentially what FanDuel did here in a way. Like, they're not changing a line, they're changing their rules. So I don't like that. I think we mentioned it on a previous episode, but now we're calling them out on it.
You are. I'm steering clear of this. It's all you, but
I'm calling.
That's also you for MKF because I didn't know. I thought we had to steer clear and mention that name.
No, don't worry. We have other grievances with MKF here, Flurry Sports people. Anyways,
and canceled.
Yeah, that's not the reason you get canceled these days. Grievances with MKF. Trust me. Anyone? Let's see here. Did we do a name to avoid? We did.
Yeah, Truex.
What am I missing for DFS?
How am I supposed to know? I did value play.
I had something else to ask you.
Was there another drive you want to ask me about besides Chase Elliott?
Well, you know what? I'll find one since we're gonna him and haw like this. Ross Chastain, 6,000.
Where's he starting again?
He is starting 6th.
I would steer clear. I feel like that. He's been running very well the past couple weeks, but I don't like him starting 6th. I feel like, especially here, at least Saturday. Sunday, if you want to put him in your lineup, because you can set them both because they're 2 different races. I would wait to see if you want to put him in your lineup. Wait till see how he does Saturday. If he looks like he's doing fine, put him in for Sunday, but steer clear of on Saturday.
Now, obviously, they weren't with Chip Ganassi Racing, but Chastain has not finished better than 24th in 4 prior Cup races here. So I kind of like where you went with that. Let's look at some betting odds to win Saturday's race. Of course, odds are not posted for the Explore the Pocono Mountains 350 on Sunday because they got to run first the Pocono Organics CBD. I forgot that part. 325 on Saturday.
You can leave the CBD out.
Yeah, I kind of intentionally left it out, to be honest with you. But anyway, Kyle Larson, shocking. Race favorite plus 225, a massive race favorite. You would have to lay $10 for Larson to finish in the top 10. So if anyone wants to do that for some reason, I guess there you go. Denny Hamlin, he is the next man in line. I guess that's the only way you can put it. You can't even say he's a second co-favorite or whatever. Plus 750. Kyle Busch, 8-1. Interesting. Chase Elliott, 8-1. Don't like that if he's starting 29th and track position matters at Pocono. Kevin Harvick, 8-1 as well. And then we've got William Byron and Martin Truex Jr., 10-1. Those are the 7 drivers, 10-1 or less. Is your official winning pick coming from that group? I have a feeling it is. There you go and talk on it.
I mean, when we last talked, I didn't take the guy I wanted to. I went with, okay, I won't take chalk. I'll go with, I said William Byron, but I'm taking chalk. I mean, the fact that Larson's odds aren't even is surprising to me at this point. He's plus 325. Give me that. With how well he's running, you have to take it.
I don't know, even odds to win a race, that would be something else. There's so much that can go wrong. But I hear you. I don't know how you can bet against him. Honestly, if you want to bet on someone with longer odds, I feel like you might want to bet on Larson too, just to kind of, hedge yourself a little bit, maybe. I don't. The other takeaway here from these top 7 guys, I don't know. Starting as far back as they are, I don't know what Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. are doing with odds that low, and I would want no part of them to win the race. I'm still fine with Chase Elliott for DFS, like we talked about. I don't want either of those guys to win this race.
there's a difference between DFS points and betting on them to win. Like if you can
Right.
put them in a DFS lineup and they can still gain you points and finish 10th.
Exactly. So know what you're putting your money on here.
Now
Yeah, betting different stuff. What are
with
you?
Truex though, he's got experience here. He knows how to win. He's twice 2015, 2018.
The way that team's been running lately, you think they're going to drive up from where are they starting here? Well, they're starting 15th. I
I mean,
still don't see it.
I don't think they're going to win, but I can understand what they're coming from. Maybe because if you look back at Sonoma, that's a any road course is hard to pass, and they came up from 20th, I want to say, and they were in the top 5 before the competition caution at lap 10.
That's fair. I hear what you're saying. I guess it's so hit or miss though. Like they either nail it or they totally miss it. But anyways, moving on here a little further, kind of to this next tier. It's only a 4-driver tier outside of 10-1 in this mid pack this week. Brad Keselowski 14-1. Speaking of where have they been, I don't know where Brad K's been other than that All-Star race. Ryan Blaney 15-1. Alex Bowman is 18-1. Joey Logano 20-1. Why are Joey Logano's odds longer than his Team Penske teammates with the consistency he has shown this year? I don't know. Like any of those prices out of that group there.
Yeah, I think as a Hendrick fan, I'm going to take the Bowman odds there because it seems like he goes missing for a couple weeks and then, oh no, yeah, here's a win. Because if you look at Richmond and Dover, he came out of nowhere and there he is and to get the win. So, I mean, this seems very Bowman-like right now. And I thought, funny enough, I thought Bowman was going to win last week because it's like, oh yeah, where's Bowman been? And then 14th and screws me. So thanks, Alex.
Bowman did have a top 10 in the second race here last year, finishing 9th. He also has a 3rd place run to his name back in 2018. Now we get into some of these longer odds here on the board. Christopher Bell, 40-1. Kurt Busch, 50-1. A couple guys at 66-1. Eric Almirola and Tyler Reddick. Ross Chastain is 80-1. Everyone else is 100-1 or longer. There are a couple of names in that 100-1 plus group I am going to throw at you, but anyone in that, I guess we'd call them long shots that the odds makers
underdog. I would call them underdogs. Well, no, yeah, they are long shots. I would say Chastain. Honestly, he's been running so good, and yeah, I said don't put him in your FanDuel lineup, but if you're gonna put $5 down on a driver, why not have it be Chastain? Because that's going to net you $400 if it hits.
I like that a lot. I would be looking to. It's risky, just because some of the things that have happened to that team. But I like Kurt Busch for a top 10 plus 155. I know you don't do the top 10, so I'm getting a face made at me, but it's okay because I just want to make money. Now, going to these 100-1s or longer. Austin Dillon, Mr. Consistency this year, is 100-1. I think that's interesting that he is much longer odds than his own RCR teammate. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr., quietly not a terrible average finish at Pocono. Like he's better than some of these other names, as is Daniel Suarez. And we've been talking past few weeks about the momentum they've been building. Another top 10 in Nashville. They are both 150-1. Dollar in a Dream. Which one of the three are you picking?
Suarez. Honestly, he's at 150 compared to Dillon, who his average finish here is 20th. He doesn't have a top 5, doesn't have a top 10 here, so steer clear of Austin Dillon. Apparently, that's another one I'll have to write about for the article. But Daniel Suarez, I'm pretty sure he finished second here in the past. So why not have Trackhouse, who surprised a lot of people so far this year? Why not have what? It could happen where they surprise everyone and get the win here this week.
Nothing fancy for Suarez recently, but he does have 3 top 10s and he does have a second at Pocono in his career. So I like that. Dollar in a Dream. I'm all aboard Trackhouse Racing. And I just want to say, Zach just made Daniel Suarez his Dollar in a Dream pick after we got into an argument on this show. I'm pretty sure the last time we had the show, when I tried to say Daniel Suarez could win a race this year, and he thought I was crazy. So there you go.
Okay, there's this between a dollar and a dream pick and your actual race pick is saying that, oh yeah, he's gonna win a race.
I just thought it was interesting. You came at me about him not having a shot. You're putting a shot on him. I don't know.
Because his odds are so long, so yeah. And he knows how to run this track, so excuse the hell out of me.
I will. Let's look at some groups for the Pocono Organics 325. I know we got to do Group F. Let's see if we got anything else of interest. Hey, Group D. Eric Almirola plus 195, Chris Buescher plus 255, along with Matt DiBenedetto. And your group long shot, Daniel Suarez plus 325. There it is.
Matty D.
Matty D. No.
I honestly, in all honesty, it might be Daniel Suarez in that one because Buescher's hitting the decline here in the last couple of weeks. Same with Matt DiBenedetto. He was also in the top 16, and he's fallen off a cliff. The only reason he got in the All-Star race is because of the fans. But and Trackhouse after, 7th last week?
Yeah, yep.
They have momentum. They're looking to better that, and who knows, Suarez does have a good track record here, and so Trackhouse maybe dollar to dream.
Well, in terms of who I'm betting in that group, it's Daniel Suarez is the long shot, 100%. I will take him over those other three. Eric Almirola has been snake bit this year. Maybe it's turning the tide, but give me Suarez there big time. Group F, Zach's favorite. Chase Briscoe is Group F favorite this week, plus 190. Michael McDowell is plus 195. Then we've got Ryan Preece at 3-1. And there he is, hanging out in Group F. Corey LaJoie, 4-1 to win this group. That is an intriguing group. I'll say that. I just want to get some of these start positions here. So Michael McDowell is starting 17th. LaJoie starts 23rd. Briscoe starts 28th. Ryan Preece starts 31st. So that's where your Group F is coming from this week.
I want to say, I never knew that these groups would be this amazing, and because we're giving some love at the drivers that probably don't get much love elsewhere on other NASCAR podcasts.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever seen a group that just feels as amazing as this one, but I really don't.
No, I mean, this one's tough because I know my head's saying one thing and my heart's going another way, and I think I'm going to let my heart win out and say Corey LaJoie is going to be the top finisher.
Let's go.
Because I don't know. Oh, I hate myself. I clicked out of the stat sheet I was looking at because I don't know how Michael McDowell does here. Chase Briscoe, this is going to be the first time he sees this track. Ryan Preece, he can go either way, but Corey LaJoie, he's got momentum. He's looking to add to his top 15 streak. And we're both laughing because we know how messed up it is.
It's not even a streak yet. He just has one. But let's see here. Corey LaJoie. Last year, 23rd and 21st at Pocono. We're going to go in depth on this group because I'm hyped right now. Michael McDowell does not run well at Pocono, but he did have a top 10 in race 1 last year. That was his best finish of 8th. That's the best finish he's ever had here. The second best finish he's ever had was 16th. Race 2 last year, he finished 40th. So let's see here. Where is Ryan Preece? Ryan Preece has not finished better than 20th. He did that in race 1 here last year. 25th in race 2. And Chase Briscoe is a rookie. So there's no Cup Series history to go off of for him. I mean, Corey LaJoie's right there, right? Let's see. I got to go back to Corey LaJoie here for a second. Where'd he go? There he is. Average finish of 28.3, seven cup races here, but they've been progressively improving each of the last 5 times they've been at Pocono. 39th, 36th, 26th, 23rd, 21st. It's got to be 15th or better this week, right? So I think he beats all three of those guys.
I'm going to act like I heard what you said because I like to hear where tones going off in my ear, and I'm sure everyone else heard it too. Even after I muted my mic, I can still hear him. So, yeah, I don't know what you said, but I'm just going to say, yeah, let's go with it.
Basically, I'm just trying to hype up Corey LaJoy and get people to bet him at 4-1 to win Group F. Race matchup of the week. There are several good ones. There's not a whole lot of plus money on the board when we're looking at matchups. This one, however, does have some plus money odds, and it is between a couple of interesting names here, I guess, between what we've been seeing of late. Kurt Busch, minus 139, is the favorite head-to-head against Eric Almirola, plus 105. And I think I gotta indulge in the number 10 there.
You said it was Kurt Busch, right?
Yep.
I gotta go with the number 1. I feel like Chip Ganassi's turned a corner, and we've seen Eric. Yes, he's had good runs, but he hasn't kept his. Every time we think he's doing something right. Well, same can be said for Kurt Busch, but Kurt Busch is definitely the right one here. So. I gotta go with the 1.
I want the plus money. I always want the plus money. I don't know. Let me see here. Do we have manufacturer odds this week? No, we don't. Here's one for you.
Chevy would probably be minus money because of Larson.
Kyle Larson is minus 125 to be the top Chevrolet car. I want to curious on this one though. For the top Ford car, Kevin Harvick 2-1. What other Ford do we really think is going to beat him? 2-1 odds there.
You'd figure it'd be someone out of the Penske camp.
Probably, but other than Logano, they're all hitting walls and just getting lapped.
Yeah, I was going to say Blaney until you brought up that point because Blaney's the only other person I can really think of who hasn't win here at this track in recent history, and even that's 4 years ago, so it's not really that recent. But yeah, it might be Harvick being the top Ford.
Yeah, I kind of like Harvick there at 2-1 to be the top Mustang. Of course, this is only Saturday's race, the Pocono Organic 325. You will have to wait until after that race for all of your Explore the Pocono Mountains 350 betting odds. If I'm on my game this weekend, I'll have an article for that one, so you have some thoughts from Saturday's race to use maybe in bet Sunday's race too. Not guaranteeing I'm on my game this weekend, but, we'll try. Let's see, Zach, do we have anything else to discuss? I think we hit Pocono pretty much every single corner of the triangle, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you watch the races. It's noon for Truck Series on FS1, 3 o'clock NBCSN for the Cup Series, CBS, 8 o'clock SRX at Eldora, noon, not FS1, NBCSN on Sunday, and then 3:30 NBCSN for the final Cup Series race. That's 5 races that you guys don't want to miss this week. I'm sure we will all enjoy them. We will all be talking about it here. Hopefully, we'll be here next week. Hopefully we aren't canceled because who knows? but yeah.
Probably some people thought we got canceled last week, but we didn't. We're back. We rose from the dead.
I put out a tweet. It's not my fault. People don't pay attention to our tweets.
Wow, I'm not on Twitter right now. I had to get off for a while, but anyway, let's see here. You can follow the show still on Twitter. Wait,
I got this. Hold on, I got this. Ready?
Okay.
Follow me at ZT McAdoo. Don't follow him because he's not on Twitter anymore. Follow us at Burt Rub Racing. Burt Rub Racing on Twitter. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever the hell you guys get your podcast listening from. Make sure you like us on YouTube, wherever Twitter, whatever the hell we are. Do video here on this. I don't know if we have a Facebook or not. I don't think so.
Well, you can like and follow Flurry Sports on Facebook.
Yeah, that too. I guess you can do that too. FlurrySports.org. We have a little NASCAR section. You can go read our articles when they're up. Zach, that's on you because we're waiting on you right now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
just
don't look at
target.
me. I was gonna say I'm all caught up. I think.
Well, yeah, you edited mine and said it was pending, so I can't publish them.
I can't either.
Yeah, so we
I mean, I could, but I'm not supposed to. So
I don't think I was supposed to either. I mean, there's a little button I can push, but I don't think I must push them. We'll let him do it.
I'll get after Bruner after the show.
Yeah, he's gonna love this section. Is that everything? I believe.
Which of the 5 races this weekend are you most looking forward to? Like, if there's a can't miss race, if I'm a busy fan this weekend, I only have time for one. Do I want to watch 325 miles of Cup, 350 miles of Cup, SRX, one of the lower NASCARs? Which is the race McAdoo can't miss this weekend?
Honestly, I'm going to say SRX because I love the dirt racing. The last 2 weeks of SRX have been entertaining, and to me, Pocono is not a track that I like that well. So, and I love Eldora. Eldora is just amazing to me. I wish the truck still raced there. It sucks that they don't go back there anymore. But so, yeah, I'm gonna say SRX, the new startup, and I'm sure NASCAR's gonna love me saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of pretend you didn't say that, but I mean they all should be good. But definitely check out SRX at Eldora. That's a fun track all the time. I kind of thought you were going to say that. That's why I wanted to ask you the question. So
You're a
a little
dick.
more SRX hype out there. We will be back next week with episode 19. I think it is. Yeah, this has been episode 18
Can you count?
of Burnt Rubber Racing. The Rowdy Kyle Busch episode. I did get rowdy in here at some point. Thank you for joining me, Sunburned Zach McAdoo. We'll talk to you next week, everyone. Have a good night.